I would like to point out before we start this review, if you are not in a safe part of the world where you can leave your house and go to the theater, don't go out and watch a movie. Don't risk your safety or the safety of anybody else around you. If you are in a place where you are able to leave, go to a theater and they have like a minimum occupancy of the people that can watch the film, go out and do it because we should support theaters, but don't risk your life or the life of others just because you want to see a film.
Tsunami Studios.
So Tenet, it came out, a long-awaited movie that I think everybody wanted to see. This was the movie that was going to save cinema after we got the whole COVID situation. And it might. I think they're projecting it's making 53 million like overseas, not in America. So that's pretty impressive, especially for the times we're living in. So I like seeing that. But also, don't risk your safety to see this movie because it's not really worth it. And I've talked about Christopher Nolan. I think on Saturday I did my big geek wave about it. You guys can watch that where I talk about all of his movies and what I like and what I don't like about him. So just to recap, if you guys didn't watch that, I kind of like Christopher Nolan. I'd never say he's my favorite filmmaker. I think he is a master when it comes to ideas. He knows how to take a good idea, like dreaming, like black holes, any of those kind of just small concepts, and turn a film into that. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. But more often than not, I think he's a class act when it comes to being a filmmaker. He's an auteur, he knows the genre, and he loves making films, and he understands films. That being said, there's a lot going on in Tenet that I don't think works. And then there's some things I'm like, this is classic Christopher Nolan, so if you are a fan of his, you will enjoy it. I don't know if there's people who are huge fanboys of Nolan that are going to get like snippy or bitchy at me because I don't support all of his films. He's not like Zack Snyder in that regard. But I just think, I'll tell you now, I didn't love this movie. I think it's good. There's a lot of great stuff in it, but a lot of it is just pretty basic. I will say the cast is fantastic. Everyone in the cast works really well. I really like Elizabeth Debicki in it. She is really fantastic. Seeing her in a big movie like this makes me really happy. I know she's been in stuff before. Like, she's done a lot of great stuff, but when you see her in this movie, there is something that could happen with her character where you're like, she could be very stereotyped in this kind of frail wife position where her husband is this terrible man, but they do certain elements in it where it works for the most part. I think there's something really fascinating about that. This is going to be non-spoilers, so I'm not going to tell you guys any of the plot points that happens because I know a lot of people are really excited to see this. We're going to do the non-spoiler stuff. So there's a lot that happens in this movie. And I think when I say a lot, it's just because there is so much exposition and then so much exposition to explain the exposition that it becomes very tiresome. And we jump in right away. We don't like learn a lot about like the world or the history of the world before we jump into the plot point. We start with an action scene and then we kind of just pick up from there and see where our character goes and how the journey happens with him. That's about it for like an explanation. We start off, something happens, now he's part of this thing. Here we go. This is the movie. It doesn't really give you a lot of emotional beats that you could expect from other stuff. Because I think it's something too like Inception or Interstellar. There's these ideas that our lead characters have this emotional connection to something else. Cobb is looking for his wife in Inception. You know, he has that attachment to find his kids. Even when it comes to Interstellar, McConaughey's character wants to find his daughter again. He wants to be with his daughter and have that connection back to Earth. There's none of that connection for our lead in Tenet. He is just kind of thrust into this world and forced to do certain things. And a lot of it comes pretty easy to him, which I think is very annoying. He doesn't really have to struggle. And because if he does have to struggle, he's easily bailed out again by one of the other characters, and there's nothing really big happening there with it. And the concept itself, I'm not going to get too much into the concept, but the concept of like time dilation and time travel and how that affects the actual story, it's handled very poorly. And I think that becomes the problem because it doesn't seem like Christopher Nolan truly understands what it is either. He has a certain idea, kind of like there's it's kind of like the idea that time is not linear. It's not going in a straight line. It's flowing throughout like reality in different ways, so it's going back and forward and up and down and all that stuff. You're playing with that idea. You did not execute it that good because I found it very hard to follow at times. And it's just like, we're going this way, but the story's not going that way, and you're going to all these different places, and I'm sure you understand what's going on, But if the lead character doesn't understand what's going on, we don't understand what's going on as an audience, and it just becomes very tiresome and cumbersome just to see this is where we're going. I still don't really understand what the plot is here, or who is supposed to be doing what, or how this character relates to that character. There's literally no emotional beats except kind of towards the end when certain characters do things. But that's about it. Like, it's just a bunch of stuff happening. There's a lot of stuff on boats, which is just so much on boats. I mean, that's not a negative. There's just a lot of stuff on boats, and then it's just a lot of explaining what's happening on boats. And then there's a lot of explaining while walking through various cities because it's gorgeous, and it's okay. Like, you're doing so much explaining, and then when you do the thing you're explaining, it still makes no sense to anyone, and it's incredibly hard to follow and not that poignant. So it's just kind of a really annoying movie where you want this to be the one that saves cinema, and it might. I think it will. But if you wanted to save cinema, you should have released Bill and Ted. That would probably be the one that would save cinema, because at least that's nice. You know, it's nice and quaint. You can have a good time. This is just, here's all this information. Enjoy this beautiful action sequence that you kind of understand, but then the other part of it, you're like, how is this happening while this is happening? It's just kind of annoying. Like, there's just a lot going on here. It looks gorgeous. Like, I think the action looks beautiful. There's something very good about Nolan doing action. It looks fantastic. It's very vibrant. He's got a great cinematographer with him. The score, again, is very jarring, something he does a lot of. There's just so much loud, obnoxious sounds. And you'd think a guy who's made a lot of films would know, maybe cut back on, like, the big sound mixing stuff when it comes to certain scenes, because, first off, you can't hear the characters. That happens a lot in this movie, because just the sound is just so loud, and just... You don't need loud background sounds. We're not here to hear the background, okay? We know there's stuff in the background. Focus on the characters talking, and that's a better idea for how to make the movie. Just saying. I mean, I don't want to sit here and tell Christopher Nolan how to make a movie. I did that with Scorsese, and it got me a lot of hate on here. But just, I don't know, a lot of sound mixing. It's very loud, and I don't like it, and I don't think a lot of people would enjoy that either. It's just a huge concept movie that doesn't really pick up on its concept or truly understand what its concept is. The acting's good. A lot of great acting, a lot of great characters, and interesting people you chose to be in here. I was like, wait, is that Quicksilver? It was Quicksilver, so that's kind of fun. And it's just very interesting stuff going on. But if you can't pick up on it right away, you're probably going to lose interest fast, because it keeps going and it keeps explaining stuff, and you don't really have time to take in all the information. Now, maybe some people will, and they'll appreciate that more, but I think a general audience is going to see this like, it's way too confusing, and it doesn't seem like the movie itself understands what it's trying to say. So I don't know if I recommend watching this movie. I know it's like, you got to go and watch the big IMAX experience. It looks great in IMAX, but don't risk your life for this. Don't fly across the country to go from like New York to Texas like that guy did just to watch this movie, because it's not worth it. If it was Inception, yeah, I'd say you could risk your life and maybe go across the country, but for this one, it's not. You're not gonna have like that, wow, this is perfect moment. You're gonna be like, this is nice for the most part. I don't get it, but it looks cool, and I like Robert Pattinson. So, Tenet, it's okay, and I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. So thank you guys so much for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you could check me out on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck.